What is up, everyone? So excited to bring you this video. I think you're going to get a ton of value from it. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to build an N8N workflow that is going to book meetings while you sleep. So this is relevant for a lot of things. This is relevant, obviously, if you have a business. This is relevant if you want to sell AI automations to businesses. This is relevant if you want to figure out how to build automations for your regular life or for your job. Because what I have found is that maybe, let's say you're in a marketing position with your business, or customer service, or HR. Maybe this exact workflow is not relevant to you, but understanding how to build this is going to allow you to create automations for yourself based on your own needs and your own problems. And oh, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do it, because my channel is all about bringing AI to the masses in a way that's easy to understand. So I don't have an engineering background. I'm not a tech guy. I love technology, but I'm not like a tech guy. And the whole point is just to make it easy and accessible so that anyone can use this to the best of their ability. So we're going to go ahead and get into this flow now. And if you have any questions throughout the video, leave a comment. I'll be sure to reply to them. If you have any specific workflows you want to try to figure out how to build, leave a comment. Maybe I'll make a video about it. But with that said, let's take a look at the automation that we have here. So it's relatively simple in terms of N8N automations. It's not super complex, not super intense. But we have several different stages, and I'm going to walk you through each stage and show you what you need to do. But first, from just a high level, I just want to look at the logic here. So in N8N, as you know, there's always a trigger. And a trigger could be a lot of different things. Now, in this particular use case, the trigger we're going to use is going to be a time trigger. So every X amount of hours, the trigger will run and the automation will run and at a whole level. You can also do things like, new input on a spreadsheet or new form submitted, or, there's many different ways that you can set up triggers inside of N8N, but essentially the trigger is just how you start the workflow. That this is going to work inside of our automation is to run every 2 hours. So this is the trigger that we talked about. The trigger is going to run every 2 hours for 24/7 lead generation. There's going to be no manual work. It's going to be completely hands-off. And we're going to show the execution history. So it can say, hey, look, I ran 12 times while I was sleeping. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Apollo. So if you're not familiar with Apollo, it's probably the #1 lead and data platform for B2B. They also have some good B2C stuff, but for B2B, it's really relevant. We're going to go to prospecting data. And in the prospecting data, I'm not going to log in and do all this because it's pretty self-explanatory, but you log into Apollo's workplace, and essentially what you can do is you can just list your criteria, technology that businesses use, people, like, do you want to target CMOs or CEOs or head of development, whatever it is, you can target that person and really lock in on them, geography, industry, etc. So to set this up in Apollo, what you're going to do from the N8N side is you're going to need some credentials. So you're going to need basically an API key from Apollo, essentially, and you'll get a token that you can use. Don't get overwhelmed by all this stuff. It's really not as complicated as it looks. I mean, put simply, when we go to Apollo, we're just going to use Apify's Apollo scraper, so you don't actually have to pay for Apollo. It's going to make it way cheaper. Now, you do sign up for Apollo. You can run searches in Apollo without paying, which is probably a mistake on their part in terms of business. But just an example, maybe you target, companies that have 51 to 250 employees. They're in the software and SaaS space, and this is the criteria we want to run with. So essentially what we would do is set up this criteria, we would run the search, and then you're just going to get a URL, and we're going to be able to pull that URL from the search. And then that's where we go to the next step. So after Apollo, what we're going to do is Apify. So if you're not familiar with Apify, it is the world's #1 most incredible scraping platform. You can scrape essentially anything from Apify. And when I say anything, I mean anything. It looks a little blurry for you guys. Let me see if that makes it a little better. Okay, yeah. So when I say you can scrape anything, I mean anything. So you can scrape TikTok data, you can scrape Google Maps data, Instagram, Amazon. I mean, they have over 6,000 different scrapers that you can use. And I've even started using it for things that I would have never thought I was using it for. Like I'm scraping transcripts. I'm literally scraping transcripts of videos because I just want to grab the transcript and put it into ChatGPT and ask questions about it. You can scrape a transcript. I mean, that's just one other example. But Apify, as you can see, they have all different types of tools that you can use to scrape. And I mean, it is just so powerful. So highly recommend Appify. And then basically all you got to do once you go into there is you're going to open up the Appify instance, and in a very similar format, you're going to need to get your API keys and things like this. Basically, the Appify profile scraper, what it's going to do is it's going to scrape full LinkedIn profiles. So not just like the basic data, name and business, like all of it, posts they've made, connections they have, and it literally costs 0.001 cents per profile. And this is 99% cheaper than most APIs. Most APIs are going to charge you a ton of money to scrape that data. You might pay thousands of dollars or at least hundreds for this same data. So you can also scrape company websites if you want deeper insights, but ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to get that token or the search URL from Apollo, and we're going to bring it into our Appify scraper, and we're just going to set up the credentials. So you're going to need to create an Appify account. You'll need to set up the credentials, and then all you'll have to do is just paste in the search query that you have from Apollo into your Appify node. And it's very easy. It's very simple. It's not complicated at all. So Appify is incredible. And from there, what we're going to do is we're going to send this actually to ChatGPT. So we've got the trigger scheduled. We've got Apollo to scrape leads. We've got Appify to scrape the scraped leads. So just to be clear, Apollo is like a high-level scraping. Appify is a much more in-depth scraping. From here, we're going to go to the AI lead scorer, which is going to be done with ChatGPT. So in a very similar way, you have to get your API key from ChatGPT, which is very easy to do, by the way. And you could also use a different LLM if you prefer. I prefer ChatGPT, especially now with GPT-5 out. But with the AI lead score, basically, GPT-4, I would actually probably say GPT-5 Mini is what I would recommend. Or maybe just GPT-5, depending on how much money you spend on this. If we're scraping 10 a day, I would probably use GPT-5. If you're scraping like hundreds a day, I would do Mini or Nano. And so from there, what it's going to do is it's going to analyze the complete scrape profile, all the data that's pulled from Appify. And it's going to score this profile based on recent activity, company growth, how much of a fit that person is to reach out to. And then this is where the magic really happens. It's going to create a hyper-personalized opener referencing their actual post. So you're able to hit them with a targeted custom message that is like no way you could send that to them unless they were already, looking at there's no way you could send this message to them unless you were already looking at their profile. So it's very personalized, and it allows for, just deep personalization, which increases reply rates and open rates and ultimately conversions, right? So from there, it's going to return a JSON structure with score, reasoning, and talking points. And you need to set the temperature. I won't get too into this on this one, but the temperature setup's really important. So right now we have it at 0.3. 0.3 is what I would recommend. Don't worry too much about this. Just set it at that and forget it. And so that part's honestly pretty easy to set up. Now from there, we're going to go to, this is where the JSON prompt comes in, right? And so basically what it's going to do is it's going to create this JSON, and the JSON is going to be, you're going to validate, is it true or false? So is it meeting worthy? You'll set up the criteria and the credentials to make sure if it's meeting worthy or not. And this is done on the ChatGPT side. So the JSON output, essentially what it needs to do is at the end of it, validate. And you can validate by, you can create a prompt basically for each node. And I'm forgetting where exactly you put this prompt in here. But anyways, in the same way that you would prompt ChatGPT, I think it might pop up after you add the API key actually. But in the same way that you would add a prompt to ChatGPT to basically get it to have some output for you, you would do the same thing here. And so you're going to prompt the exact criteria that you're looking for. If all of these are true, then it is a good lead and we should pursue it. Okay. And so that's where in the next node you see is true. And if it's false, it's just, So if the lead is false, meaning it's not a good fit, it's not good criteria, it's just going to go to the log of rejected leads. And it's just going to stay there. And you don't have to really worry about it. You don't even really need that step if you don't want to, but sometimes people want to collect them just in case you go after them. If it is a good fit, what we're going to do is send it to a Google Sheet. And in this Google Sheet, essentially what's going to happen is, I don't think I need to explain Google Sheets to you, but let's just go through it anyways. So high quality leads, so checks if meeting worthy, if the score is over 70, split decision. I was just talking about that. You can adjust threshold based on your volume needs. So you can, accept a lot more leads if you need more leads, or you can make it very specific and niche if not. And this is basically going to show a clear decision point in the workflow. But now to the Google Sheets, as I was talking about, what it's going to do is it's going to put that in that spreadsheet, and it's going to store the name, email, LinkedIn URL, score, and the personalized message. So this is going to include the best outreach angle based on our AI analysis, and it's going to create a permanent record of all the qualified leads. So you can follow up with them months later if they don't convert. Okay, so from there, what we're going to do is we're going to send a personalized email. Now, I use Gmail here. May or may not be the best option for you. For the most part, to be honest with you, for cold email, I recommend Instantly. Instantly is an incredible platform and an incredible tool, and I recommend that for cold email. However, you can use Gmail. I just kind of use it for example's sake. Once again, very similar. You get an API key, you place it in here, you connect it, and then basically it will trigger that automation to send that email to that person. And then what's going to happen is, well, let me just break this down. So in the personalized email, the subject line uses the AI's best outreach angle, which is placed in the spreadsheet, and it's going to reference specific LinkedIn post or company news. So it's also going to mention exact talking points from their profile, and it will include your Calendly link if you add it in there for an instant booking. But going to Slack, like I was talking about, essentially this is for real-time alerts. So full lead details, LinkedIn URL for manual review, shows the AI reasoning and score, and it will tag the sales team for really hot leads to kind of be aware of it and be on top of it. So this is where, you can have your team fully involved. And from this point, the email's been sent, the team is ready. If they don't respond quickly, maybe you have a person cold call them or hit them up on LinkedIn, or whatever your sales process best practices are. And so from here, we're pretty much done. At the end of it, we'll have total profiles scraped versus total profiles qualified. We'll have a conversion rate percentage. We'll have a cost per qualified lead, hopefully under 5 cents. That'd be pretty insane. And the ROI calculation. So we'll be able to show the value of the meetings booked based on the logic that you put into this calculation. So you would basically just need to go into settings and just adjust this to reflect that. But with that said, you can see how it's really not too complicated to build very complex and effective workflows for generating leads. And I'm actually using a very similar setup and structure for my business, and it's proven to be very successful. So this is kind of just scratching the tip of the iceberg with what you can do with N8N. But in terms of lead generation, it makes no sense not to automate this, because every couple hours you're generating new leads. Every couple hours, just generating leads. That's important and that's powerful. So this is something I would recommend every business sets up. But like I said, maybe you're in a different department in your business and you have a certain workflow that you really want to try to figure out. Well, in that case, leave a comment on what that workflow is, and I will build a video specifically for that. I would love to try to help you figure out the right use case for yourself. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Once again, this is all about making AI accessible for everyone that doesn't have a technical background or an engineering background. And even if you do, I think it'll be valuable for you as well. But that's all I got for you guys today. Really appreciate you checking out this video. I got a great one coming tomorrow, so be sure to check back in. Peace.